Going to be in the back of the net. Yes! Stunner. It is a brilliant goal. Ball goes down and the referee says that is a penalty. Oh, and he's missed it, it's hit the post. Straight in the net. Well, it's gone straight into the goal. Ball goes across field and into the back of the net. And it's an equaliser for the Navy. Touched onto the bar and he's in.
Yes! Come on!
Shoots, sends the keeper the wrong way.
Hello and welcome to Havant and Waterlooville for the second round of Inter-Services football. I'm Kath Brazier and we're here on the blowy south coast tonight to see the Royal Navy women up against the Army women. And it's a must-win showdown after last week's tournament opener ended in an RAF win.
Still the danger not cleared, and the RAF have it in the back of the net. Well, that was a really well taken goal by Lucy Farrow. And Dixon collects the 1-2. She's clear. Is she going to put this ball in the back of the net? But it's great goalkeeping again. Brilliant goalkeeping from Jamie Lee Bamford. Plays it square, it's a shot and it's a second goal for the RAF and it's a second goal for Lucy Farrow.
Now, not only will the Army be looking to keep their title hopes alive with a win, they'll also be looking for revenge after the Navy went to Aldershot last year and ran riot. Before we hear from the Army camp, we sat two Royal Navy players down to react to last year's classic tie.
And Imogen Fisher has gone for goal. Yes! Stunner. Whipped in, and the header, and it's in.
I'm Jade Barrow, and I'm Nadina Green, and we're reacting to the goals against the Army for the last Inter-Services 2023.
Bouncing around in the shot. The goalkeeper just about made the save. I think it was McDonnell who fired it in on goal. Whipped in, and the header, and it's in.
What a goal. I was going to tell you that was going to go in. I knew exactly what goal that was. Yeah, Shorter's goal. Yeah, straight.
And she's straight on the floor.
Yeah.
Classic Shorter.
Yes, she can.
Simple as you like.
It was. Yeah,
That's a lovely goal, actually.
It wasn't the best penalty actually. I've done better, but
it's your first. That was a good one.
yeah, it just needs to
Has to watch it
stay.
in. Towards the near post,
yes.
and it's gone in again. It's 3-0. The Navy
Who was that?
That was Babs. Yeah.
dreamland right now. That might have just gone all the way in, by the way, from Babs.
No, that
Took a
was there.
deflection.
No deflection. That was whipped straight in from the corner. I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember all these goals. Don't know what you remember.
Yeah. It's at the back. I don't remember anything. Can't even see him.
Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm watching.
Looking to spin, not there. Jade
Yeah.
Widows.
Go on.
Jade Widows still. And that is the, well,
What's your celebration all about?
I need to sort it out.
You do need to have a little practice.
I don't really plan this.
and game over, potentially.
Okay.
for
Yeah,
Rich Sharma.
Courtney Jones just caught there.
Lovely in the corner.
Yeah.
Widows has got onto that one, and she does have Shorter with her as she can find the pass. Widows is around the goalkeeper, and she's in the
Greedy.
Jade hit the post.
Jade, that was greedy. Short was in the middle.
It's naughty.
Shit, that was very naughty. I was probably shouting at you at that point, to be fair.
Yeah. I do make up for it.
and maybe
Is that you
took
rolling on the
the
floor as well?
That's just me knowing. Oh, here we go. Made up for it.
Widows is in
Rosen's got a
behind
lovely
here, she
hat
is
in there.
outside. And this to cap off a brilliant Navy night.
Yeah.
Jade Widows has a hat trick.
I'll let you off for the other one, but...
So I made up for it. I was on a hat trick, so
Yeah, but we needed more goals.
I hit the post. It was very tight.
Goals is what matters.
Army football, apart from UCAF, it is the pinnacle of the game within your service. I think it brings the best out in players.
For Appleyard, pulls it back, and Chrissy Wright's on a hat trick.
Oh, she's got a finish.
Now the Army are starting to play their football. Good ball over the top as well. And it's Imogen Fisher who's gone for goal.
Yes!
Stunner. It is a brilliant goal.
Who from the Army setup, apart from yourself, should be looking out for to create some magic?
I think we've got Hannah Hampton. She is coming to this fold, and she's a really strong player. I think everyone, to be fair, we've got strong outlets all over the pitch. We've got Courtney, centre back. She's a great outlet. She plays City football, so yeah, she's one to watch, I think.
It's some time since the Army have lifted this trophy.
I think it's a big pressure. The Army have always been the other two services cup finals, and I think where the team has been over the last few years with a constant turnover in players, the main thing that me and Ryan, the head coach, have tried to do this year is really get that consistent feel from the start of the season.
I think in the camp it's positive. I think we're looking to push on, and everyone's got the same mindset, the same goal. I think past seasons we've not quite, met the standard. I think we've been on a little bit different wavelengths. So I think this year we're all on the same goal. So hopefully push on.
So that's more than enough from me. Time to join our commentary team for tonight, led by BFBS's Carl Dixon, and he's joined by the RAF Women's head coach, Chris Hamilton.
Thanks, Kath. Welcome then to Wesley Park. It is an occasion already happening. The players are about to come out, and I believe we will be getting lots of dignitaries and caps given out. In fact, you'll see more of that on your screen at the moment. But we are here for inter-services football, and it should be a very, very title-twisting game, is I think the words we used earlier. The Navy and the Army. I'm joined on commentary by the RAF head coach Chris Hamilton, who's just grabbing his headphones and getting involved. And as the players settle in, let's just take a quick look through the two teams while they do the dignitary stuff. We'll start with the Royal Navy as the home team. And it's an interesting team, isn't it, Chris? Because there's a few players missing that you thought would be in this team. They have Jade Widows, or Jade. Jade's a top striker. We know that. The Army know that. But the players that you would expect in this Navy team aren't quite there.
Yeah, they're missing Rosie McDonald. I think she may be away at the moment, so that's a big miss for them. But we'll see what they've got else in the locker.
And of course, Kira Boylan no longer in the military, so she's not involved too. But Jade Barrow will be a big threat. Antia Captain as well, you'd expect to be a threat. Nat Bavister brings all the experience too. As you can see on the screen at the moment, gold caps are being given out. This is tremendous for Navy football to commemorate and respect the history. But while that's happening, let's take a quick look at the Army team as well. And look, the Army team, this is an Army team that pushed your RAF team to the limit last week, and if things had gone a little differently, who knows how it would have ended up. What are the threats in this Army team?
Yeah, so they caused us some threats through Libby Dixon last week. She's obviously not here this week. But you know, they've got some strong players within their group. Imogen, Anna Butterwhistle and Demi, I imagine, will go into the 9 role today. So it'll be a different threat for the Navy.
So, a lovely moment as a young child's enjoying the experience as well. But we'll bring in Carl Milgate, UCAF head coach as well, joining us. I don't think he's got any headphones, so hopefully he can hear us. Carl, you watched last week's game. You were here for it. This is a big game for both teams.
Yeah, good win last week for Hammy and the girls from the Air Force. So yeah, they'll be watching tonight, won't they? But ultimately, Army come into it wanting to prove a point. Obviously, that their performance was, you know, they are better than the performance last week, and Navy obviously start their campaign tonight, don't they? So it's it'll be interesting to see what turns up from the Army and what the Navy have got, any new characters, etc. on the pitch tonight, and the Army have got to make amends for last week ultimately.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because we're just saying about the Navy players that could potentially be missing. We mentioned Rosie McDonald, huge miss, of course, but the players on the pitch that could cause a problem. Look, Jade Barrow loves this fixture. We know this. How much are the Army going to be thinking about her as the threat?
Yeah, I think they've probably done some preparation ahead of facing Jade. She is a big threat for the Navy going forward. Obviously, Bavs can get on the ball. She's very good on the ball, keeps possession nicely. And then you've got T in the middle who can go box to box. So they've got some threats. I'm sure the Army have tried to get them watched, done a bit of analysis on them. So they'll be aware of the threat, especially from Jade, who can go in behind with pace.
And obviously the Army have got that midfield, which I think is what we highlighted earlier, that midfield sort of quartet. You've got Anna Birtwistle, who really tried to control the game against you guys last week, and you expect to have a big impact tonight. Demi Edwards, Ali Croucher, Hannah Napton's in there, Imogen Fisher. Imogen Fisher is the interesting one, isn't it? Because I think you spoke last week, Carl, about they couldn't quite get Imogen Fisher into the game, it felt like, for the Army in that forward position. Is that something we'll see again tonight?
Possibly. Don't rule out Demi might play as a 9 as well. She's done that for the Army before. She brings a slightly different threat as a 9 to Imogen, but I just felt that last week, to be honest. I felt that the other year against for the Navy Air Force game. I don't think the Navy went direct enough against the Air Force to really test them. And Imogen is, you know, she has her own attributes that I think if you play to, then I think she can cause a problem against teams. That's what Imogen does. She's powerful, she's strong, she's quick. What she doesn't probably want is the ball to feet to hold up play and link play. That's probably maybe not what she does. But yeah, no, she'll bring a threat, wouldn't she? But let's see how they line up first and see if they've made any changes tactically, and then we'll go from there. One big player missing for the Army, of course, is Libby Dixon, who had that chance last week. I won't go on about it because I'm sure she's fed up of hearing about it by now. But she's a big player for the Army and for UCAF. She's missing tonight. She wasn't available. So filling in that gap. She was a wide player last week. Filling in that gap will be important for Ash Cunningham and his team tonight. Yeah, I'm sure they've had a look at how they can fill the gap that she's left. Obviously, she was first 15 minutes of the game, she was starting to cause us problems, so we made some tactical changes, and I think after that we dealt with the problem pretty well. But tonight, I reckon if Demi goes in and plays as that 9 coming to feet, it might leave a gap for Imogen or Hannah Napton or somebody like that to run in behind, maybe diagonal running behind them. So it's going to be a different kind of attack from the Army tonight. They won't have that kind of threat from Libby in behind, but I think they could leave gaps if Demi comes to feet.
And I mean, looking at the two teams, because of the players missing for the Navy, it's a lot of unknowns actually. A lot of players that haven't played top games at this level, inter-services level, which is just a different beast in terms of the competitive nature of it.
Yeah, I think that's when somebody like Bavs or T becomes really important to that group, because they've got the experience of an inter-services game. They'll be able to kind of calm nerves within the changing room. So players like Bavs and T, as we said, they're going to be really big. And Jade now, she's played in a few. So them three players are really big. If they go and play well tonight, then it might drag everybody else through the game and might kind of manage their nerves, if there is any. Well,
the handshakes are just about over. We are expecting the national anthem pretty soon, and the lights are out here in Havant. Makes for a lovely occasion actually, and it's the first time I think the Navy home games in the women have been played here, which is a really nice pitch and stadium for them to play at as well, Carl.
Yeah, it's the home of Portsmouth women, so so there's a little link to the female game, which is great. And yes, obviously we're not far outside the dockyard, though. It's 15 minutes up the road, so still very much naval territory. Obviously the lads playing at Fratton Park tomorrow night.
For those who are able, please be standing for the national anthem.
Facebook and or on YouTube, get involved in the comments in the chat. One person who's already got involved, Ellie Bishop, up the Navy. Come on, girls. A name we thought we might see on the pitch today, Ellie Bishop, but not playing. She's watching along though.
Yeah, she's another player that would add something to the Navy side, so I'm sure Glenn is disappointed that she's not playing for whatever reason it is, and I'm sure that she'll be a miss for the Navy tonight.
Well, the Navy have the players, the Army have the players that can hurt the opposition. Carl's doing his best to hear. I'll move over a slight bit. There we go. There we go. We're manoeuvring wide. It's a tight press box here at here in Havant, but Carl's set. So look, let's talk mindsets going into this. The RAF are, as champions, the favourites for the tournament. They win the game last week. We know this is must win for the Army. If they don't win, they won't have any chance of winning the title. But arguably, it's just as much must win for the Navy, because they don't want to give the Air Force any advantage next week.
Yeah, look, we said it last week, and a lot of people, past and present, say that there's no competition like it, and that's exactly why, Carl, isn't it? Like you say, the Navy come into it tonight in that mindset, but the Army want to prove a point. The Army know that actually, do you know what? With a win, it's still not impossible. Do you know what I mean? You're still in the competition just about. But I think the Army have just got to, well, this is my mindset, is you just have to approach the game professionally in a one-off game and play tonight as a cup final. Don't worry about last week, you know, etc. And then see what you can get out of it. You'll have your own game plan, your own sort of outcomes, what you want, and see what you can achieve. And then that's your inter-service season done, isn't it? For the Navy, yeah, there's a little bit of pressure because they know that'll be a very, very tough game next week. So, you know, they probably are thinking, you know, a win is nearly a must.
Well, Chris, I'm sure you've got your watching brief on as well as your co-commentary. Just a word on the two captains, two respected individuals in both teams for sure. Obviously, Nat brings the experience, but Anna Burt-Whistle coming into the captain's role for the first time this year, I believe. She did very well last week against the RAF. Should lead by example tonight as well.
Yeah, she's one of their standout performers. Every time we watch them, she stands out. So again, they'll need that from her tonight. They'll need her on the ball. They'll need her creating things, and they need a bit of fight. I think last season they'll be out to avenge the defeat against the Navy last season. So although they may be beaten last week by us, I think they'll be well up for the game tonight because of what happened last season against the Navy.
Well, shout out for the officials in the middle before we get going. Flight Lieutenant Ed Tarr is the man with the whistle. And for anyone wondering, he spoke to us earlier and he said, this is for any Liverpool fans wondering, he would have given the penalty. So that's put end to that conversation. Assistant referees, we've got Steph Clarkson-Kearsley and Eleanor Webb, with fourth official Steve Hearn, all from the RAF, all willing and ready to, in their minds actually, not get involved as much and stick in the background like a good referee does, which is what he said to us earlier. So it'll be Jade Barrow then to get us underway.
I think going back to your point there, Carl, about the mindset and the players on the pitch for the Army, I think they've got to use that to their advantage tonight. There's quite a few experienced people there. Ali Croucher, Demi Edwards, Courts at the back. Anna, as you say, Imogen Fisher now. Do you know what I mean? They've got to use that to their advantage against, I think, a newer Navy team.
Well, an early slip and the Army will take control of it, and it's going to be a battle. These inter-services matches always are, but it's who's going to get it down and get control of it early. Here's Barrow looking wide for Bavister, who started on the left wing, I think, number 7, so it's a change of position for her. Bavister whips it into the penalty area, and it will drop to the back post. It's Captain who just couldn't get the touch right. Early chance for the Navy. Interesting to see Bavister play on this left-hand side, and actually I think it looks like a back 5 for the Navy, which is an interesting call. Here's Demi Edwards. End-to-end stuff to start us off. Edwards looking into the penalty area towards Birtwistle. Bit of a late tackle. Nice lively start though, boys. We like this. We seem to be having a slight technical issue with Chris's mic. A lot of wires, so we're working through. But look, a nice lively start. And interesting to see how high Nat Bavister's playing, Carl. I think your mic might be working.
Yeah, she's lining up as a wing back in a back 3, back 5. Yeah, Jade forward with a girl also that a player that they brought back. She hasn't been around for a while. Is Grace O'Leary in the Navy team there. But in comparison to the Army players that we just mentioned about their experience, they've also got Rosie McDonnell not here tonight. Katie Shorters looks like she's injured on the sideline. And let's not forget Kira, obviously less service, and Kira Boylan and Ellie Bish isn't here tonight either. So they are missing a few players tonight, the Navy, in terms of experience as well.
Well, I think Chris should be back up and running.
Yeah, I'm back with you.
We're back. We're good. Okay, Courtney Jones then for the Army. Interesting to see Courtney Jones playing in that. I mean, she's automatically gone to midfield there, just saying. It's interesting to see her playing centre-back for the Army. You use her in midfield at times for UCAF. She can play both. She's a player of fluid positions. Now Bavister. The Navy looking for Barrow. So used to it. Congratulations to Jade Barrow on her wedding in the last year. There's a lovely piece on our website at the moment, on our YouTube channel, with Jade and Nadina Green watching back the highlights from last year, which is always good to get the players' perspective. And the Navy will have an early free kick here. Now, what the Navy don't offer, particularly, apart from maybe captain, is height in these situations. So it's how are they going to play it on the floor?
Yeah, I'd suggest they're probably going to try and play short here, or maybe wide, or maybe just let Jade go and challenge.
Well, it's Kelsey Miller over the free kick. Slip, but it will fall for Bavister. Couldn't get it under control. Now Birtwistle challenging with captain. Good challenge from the skipper. And she's played it wide for Demi Edwards, who is leading the line, by the way. Demi Edwards. Fisher in the penalty area as well. Couldn't quite find the pass to Fisher. Feels like Ash Cunningham's probably watched the game back last week and realised maybe Fisher off the side, off the wing where Libby Dixon was actually playing last week, will be a better fit for her.
Yeah, she's. We thought she may play wide, and it looks like they've kind of made that change, and that's where she's going to play off the left tonight. They'll be looking for Hannah Napton to be more involved probably than she was last week. And already she's starting to move the ball more than she did last week, and she's in there.
Tidy ball from Napton. Edwards running down the line again, bringing it inside. Good feet from Demi Edwards. It was Croucher looking to break through, wasn't able to, and the Navy can clear. The Navy are automatically looking for Bavister when they go on their attack, which isn't a surprise with their ball playing ability.
Yeah, I think when you're under pressure, they'll look for players that have got the ability to take control of the ball, and she certainly can do that.
Carl, is there a few players here in this Navy team in particular, but also the Army, that are potentially breaking through to a UCAF level this year?
The girl at left centre half, well, left of the three centre halves, Kelsey is new to the Navy. This is definitely her first inter-service game. She comes with a decent pedigree in terms of football before service. It's much of what we know about the Navy, to be honest, in terms of what they have. But we'll see. Like Nadina, like you say, played last season and had a good couple of fixtures, so she caught an eye. And then a couple of new girls for the Army as well that playing in their first inter-service is Hannah Napton. Obviously Ali Croucher we picked up before the Bundeswehr game, and this is, well, not her first inter-services, but certainly her first for a while, a few years. So Ali's back on the scene. Ali Croucher, it's great to see, and she had a great debut for us against the Bundeswehr. She came on and impacted the game, so she'll be looking to impact the game tonight, I'm sure.
Navy throw then midway through the Army half, or closer to the penalty area actually. And it's into Barrow, who's trying to hold things up for the Navy. Captain couldn't win the tackle. Birtwistle with a really smart turn, looking for options. And the Army will keep holding it. Courtney Jones now collect. Bannister cuts that one out. The Army wanted handball there against O'Leary, I think it is. Ed Tarr says play on. It's been, apart from that first minute where we had a couple of chances, it's been scrappy, it isn't a surprise at this inter-services level with the pressure on. The Army are looking to get control of it.
The first 10 minutes of these games are always scrappy, and it's probably the team that gets a foothold in the game and gets a grip of it quickest can start moving forward in the game. So it's been a bit end to end, but it looks like we might have an exciting game.
Well, that will be a Navy throw. And Lily Chubb will go over and take it. Another new, I believe she was in the inter-services squad last year, but I don't think she got as many minutes as she will be getting in 2024. Chubb looking for widows. Barrow. I'm going to do that a few times tonight, I think. She won't mind. And Bavister, I think, will go over and take this throw. The Navy getting position. Any rugby fans will know they're working their way up the pitch. It's a start. Bavister into Barrow. Looking for Captain. He might just be able to get that. And she's gone for goal. Not enough power. More of a jab towards goal than anything. Daisy Burnfield then in the Army goal. Personally, I thought she played very well against the RAF last week. Conceded twice short, but it could have been a lot more if it wasn't for Daisy Burnfield in that net.
Yeah, she made a, well, as per, we didn't say, John obviously last week chose not to, he said he doesn't like the individuality of a player of the match, but if put under pressure, I was just about to say that the debutant in goal for the Air Force last week, I thought she had a fantastic game and made 3 big saves. Might not be amazing saves, but certainly big saves at the point of game where Hammy would have needed that. And yeah, Daisy played well last week. She'll be tested by Jade tonight, hopefully, if they can get Jade through.
Well, that's what the Navy will hope.
Ultimately, Carl, going back to your point, is, Daisy in the Army defence last week, obviously, to deal with the front three of the Air Force currently in Georgia, Lucy and Pip from last week. That's as I said with John last week, it's a very, very dangerous front three that any team would struggle to cope with on an evening.
Well, the Navy will have to try and deal with that next week. Tonight they're aiming for victory. for sure against the Army. And I mean, the Navy have had the beating of the Army over the last few years, especially since we've returned to football from the COVID pandemic. And I mean, last year was one of the most memorable games for sure. And we've spoken about that 5-2. Let's call it a thriller if we want to call it a thriller. But the year before, the Navy also beat the Army. And it's interesting because before the COVID pandemic, the Army had the dominance over this fixture for a lot. I think it was 15 years, I think I read. So it's been a real change in fortunes for the Navy.
Yeah, and I think obviously Ash, the assistant manager for the Army, was saying in one of his pre-match interviews that playing against the Army, it's the cup final for the other two services, and that's what he'll try and get them back to being. And tonight he's probably hoping that they'll go and win tonight and start turning their fortunes. But they've started well here, so this might be the first step to doing that.
Well, the ball in the corner from the Army with Napton. That's a shot from distance from Isabel Crooks. Didn't get hold of it, and the Navy will clear. Bavester looking wide for Barrow, who's immediately got Courtney Jones right on top of her. That's going to be the battle, isn't it, for the Army and the Navy tonight, Barrow and Jones. Barrow arguably might have a pace advantage, but strength and winning headers may not be the night for Barrow against Jones.
Courtney Jones, her passing ability off her right foot is dangerous. She can start attacks from centre-back, so they'll need to press her quickly. If they don't, then she can definitely start attacks and create things.
Good flick by Fisher. Chance for Birtwistle to chase, but it should be seen out, and is, by Nadina Green, who's, like you said, Carl, someone who has impressed actually over the last year, and she's growing into military football and starting to make a presence in that Navy back line.
Yeah, she has, yeah. Like you say, Katie Short is another one that plays in a similar position, sometimes plays in like the 4, as we call it, or the pivot for the Navy. But ultimately, for players to get into the group, you know, that we take forward to the international games, it's a tough group to get in. I say that to people, you know, and we need consistency as well. We can't chop and change at every training camp because we need consistency. But yeah, no, it's a tough group to get in, you know, and I challenge the players to break into that group and to make it difficult for the more experiencing, you know, people like Nat Bavester and Kat Beaver and, you know, T Captain and people like that, you know, to challenge them to force them out the squad. But ultimately, they come back every time and just as ours, you know, come back with us and do a grand job. So,
Louise Michelle Lee's watching on Facebook. She says, "Let's go Navy" from HMS Richmond in Jeddah. So that's our first notable location. Let us know where you're watching from. The furthest away wins, well, the competition. I don't think we've quite got a prize for you, but we want to know where you're watching from. That's a good ball.
Lou will certainly be shouting at the TV or the laptop.
And it's gone short. Courtney Jones had to get across there and did really well, actually. Abby Hindman would have been in if not. Jess Trahan is watching on Facebook too. Tear it up out there tonight, Army. The former Army captain. So no surprises where her allegiances lie.
I think we've seen glimpses here of where they can hurt each other. The pitch is massive, so if they use this width on the pitch and switch play, I think they could really get in and hurt each other. But a lot of the play is going through the middle at the moment, so maybe later on in the game they'll start using that width because it's a really big pitch here.
Well, the width arguably might suit the Navy more than the Army, who have got that packed midfield. But at the same time as that, I mean, we've mentioned Upton. She's someone who's made a brighter start tonight than she did a week ago, potentially. And obviously on the opposite side, Fisher now on that left-hand side. The threats are there. With Birtwistle, who has started well for the Army. Into Edwards. Holds it up, good turn and good pass from him. Demi Edwards. Napton hasn't got the pace against Lily Chubb, it seems, there. But a promising
Yeah, it's a good
play.
point about the pitch. Carl and Hammer's made a good point there in terms of it looks like from the Navy that Bavs is, let's say, cheating. You know, it's playing very much higher than the right wing back. The right wing back is very much as if they're playing nearly a back 4 with the right wing back to deal with the Army front 3, and Baz is the one who's going to, rightly so, with her left and right foot, she can deliver obviously balls into the box, you know, in a dangerous manner.
We've just managed to get on to YouTube, so there's a lot of comments on there too. We'll have a read through of them in just a moment. I can see Maidenhead United women's page and Plymouth Argyle's women's page are both watching and supporting. Nearly a moment there for Nadina Green to give the ball away. And the Navy can't quite make the tackle, actually. It's a really strong tackle in there, and the referee will blow up. The Army had the advantage there, but the referee decided to pull it back. Giving us a moment then just to have a look through those comments. We've got... Sorry, Carl, I think you're about to jump in there. Sorry, 2 seconds. Joanne Jones is watching. Come on, the Navy. Samantha Captain is watching from all of T Captain's family, watching from Exeter. There we go. Go on.
Sorry, Carl. I was laughing at Glenn down there on the sideline because we had a moment 10-15 minutes in last week with John, and he'll remember if he's watching Glenn being very complimentary to the officials last week with an advantage, and now he's very much rightly so questioning the lack of decision there.
Well, he decided not to play the advantage. He pulled it back, and it's an interesting one because in the men's game last week we saw a Navy official play advantage when perhaps he didn't need to, and it led to a goal. Let's see what this free kick leads to, perhaps.
Yeah, the Army would have definitely, I think.
Bert Whistle has fired it in.
Chris's opinion on it, but I mean, we're definitely calling for an advantage there to give us 3 to 6 seconds to play on, because Anna was pretty much through.
Lee Black making the comfortable save for the Navy, a newbie in the Royal Navy goal as well. So you've got a number of new goalkeepers to take a look at over this campaign. Lee Black in the Navy goal. Charlie Wheatley says, come on, Abby H, which will be Abby Hindman for the Royal Navy. Richard's watching from Alnwick, Northumberland. Holly Keaton is also watching, supporting the Army. Good win by Barrow, and she's spun nicely. She's gone for goal. And Daisy Burnfield had to be smart down to her left-hand side. Just a little bit of a warning shot there from Barrow.
Yeah, I think that's just a bit of a warning in terms of what she can do if people back off her and let her have a shot. She's a dangerous player. So yeah, that's a bit of a warning here.
Ball wide for Napton and towards Edwards, so it's behind her. And Tony Stewart should comfortably potentially start a Navy attack. Captain lays it off nicely. And O'Leary was looking for Bavister, it didn't quite make it. Edwards getting stuck in there. We know Demi Edwards will bring the passion in the red shirt. Demi Edwards, a player who's... I often find watching Demi Edwards that, she may not be the quickest person on the pitch. We'll pause for a second. Here's Barrow. Wins a corner. I was going to say about Edwards, she may not be the quickest, she's not the tallest, but she's silky on the ball. She's got the ball control, and she's got the passing ability as well.
Yeah, look, she gives you everything as well. She leaves nothing on the pitch. That's her attitude, that's her desire. Army characteristic or service military characteristic, but no, she's a great person to work with as well in terms of listening, wanting to learn, and it's very much for the team. She'll do what she needs to do tonight. Jade, another chance there that Jade had. They can't keep giving that.
Navy corner. It's in towards Green.
For Jade.
And it will be Barrow on the edge of the box, who's brought it down onto her right nicely. Great tackle again from Bert Whistle. She's had 1 or 2 of them already.
They rushed them really well there. It's a great tackle, and now the break's on.
Yeah, good decision.
Now Fisher just slowed it down a touch. We'll bring Bert Whistle back into it. Now Croucher. And the Army getting a bit of confidence from their skippers. Tackling, it seems, but a loose touch from Dumbbell and a foul. A few of them already from Anna Birtwhistle, definitely leading from the front when it comes to the passionate challenges and good challenges, it should be said, good tackles.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that we noticed is maybe the game last year, heads dropped for the Army last week. They kept going right till the end, and it became a battle second half, and that's maybe something that maybe Ash and the new staff has brought in, that battling element to what they've done. And again, there's another one.
Edwards just strayed, went a little early there, Demi Edwards.
But you can see, I think a lot of their play is going to come through Anna. She's, as I say, she's combative in there, and she's a strong player.
Dawn Collette is watching on Facebook. Go Army, go Gabby, watching from North Lincolnshire. Louise Clark is also watching from Shropshire with a 2-year-old baby. 2-year-old baby Oliver. Come on, Auntie Nat Bavs. And that's a ball wide too, Auntie Nat Bavs. Not going to get there.
Pretty much the direction of every Navy attack so far, Carl, isn't it? Either in or over to Jade Barrow or out to the left to Bavs to try and get her on the ball. The first chance Jade Barrow had there, very much like the RAF's one of the goals last week in terms of, I dare say, Army not helping themselves on the edge of the edge box, and obviously again with people like Lucy, Pip and Georgia in that front line, you can't give them chances. And similar to Jade Barrow tonight, you know, she'll cause havoc, she'll press well, she'll create her own chance.
Well, yeah, you'd imagine as much as it's about Bavister's ability, which she's got plenty of. Great back heel from Captain, and the shot from range from O'Leary, not got the legs on it. But yeah, as much as she's got the talent, the Navy would have looked at last week's game, and you're right. The RAS first goal, while a great volley from Lucy Farrow, came from a position that should have been cleared and wasn't. So maybe they're targeting the Army's right-hand side. That's a good ball through for Edwards, who will break through. Demi Edwards now. Onto her right foot, blocked. Great block from Nadina Green.
Imogen was in there. If she just slipped her, I think she just slipped to the left there. But she's fancied a shot, typical striker, wanting a goal. But I think if she slips Imogen in there, that's a great chance. Again, opportunities to switch play that they're not using at the moment.
Nat Bavister's got her hands out, not very happy with that. And Glenn Long is also demonstrating that the switch was the option. Jade Barrow's husband William is watching on YouTube, watching from Norway. So there's another international watcher, which is always good to see. Nicola Tyler's watching from Hereford with all the Demi Edwards family too. Please do get involved. Even the referees have got some support on Facebook. Good luck to Ed the ref and his team. Congrats on your appointment from Mark George Foreman. Composed play from Green to come out with it, and she finds Barrow. Bit scrappy, but Courtney Jones, sorry, Ali Croucher comes away with it. But Whistle's pass could have been short. It's a difficult challenge that from Chantal Dumbell. Didn't connect, unfortunately, with Bavister. Katie Lee says, up the Navy, come on Abby H. And the Navy are starting to settle. Both sides have had moments, but neither side has really took advantage of them yet. Bavister might here. It's a good ball in. Can Barrow get on the end of it? She will get there, but the angle was always going to be too tight. Credit to Burnfield there, really made herself big, kept the angle tight, but a lot of the Navy attacks are coming from this left-hand side.
Yeah, I think they're starting to get some success behind the right fullback for the Army here. So we'll see if they keep trying to play down this side.
Flicked on by Burt Whistle. The Navy will take control of it for a moment. Healthy crowd, by the way, here in Havant. I know the Navy men's team are over there supporting the women's team tonight, and there's a lot of people in the stand around us, which is always good to see. A few people standing around the pitch too. All on the camera side, I should say.
Yeah, it's good the Navy lads and the Army lads have turned up nice and early as well. Got a bit of an atmosphere going now.
The Army bring it forward here then. Napton into Burt Whistle, who's seemingly all over this game at the moment. Burt Whistle wins a corner.
Yeah, it's a good start from Burt Whistle. Anna, as you say, Carl, trying to affect the game, trying to drive it forward. That's very much how she'll lead this team, I think, in terms of lead by example on the pitch. You know, rather than be a shouter and a baller, sort of, that's not her style.
She put a good ball in here. It's just over Napton at the back post I saw coming in, and Croucher as well with her height. Army will get a throw though. just waiting for a goal to light this one up. Croucher looking to spin, cleared away by Green. I mean, you talk about players breaking into the UCAF team, not just the UCAF team, but the starting 11. Birtwhistle's a very good example. You've had her in squads, maybe not potentially nailed down her place in that midfield all the time with competition from the likes of Cat Beaver and others, but she's impressing tonight.
Yeah, she is. She impressed the first time I saw her for the Army a few years ago. She's been quite unlucky the last couple of training camp or fixtures we've had. She's been on courses and career courses, so we haven't been able to get her out, unfortunately. But that's service life, isn't it? We have to accept that, and it's about the person developing as a service person as well as a footballer. But no, she's broke in the same as Demi. That's part of the job that you love, isn't it? Like Hammy's done over the last year or two. Giving people their first game or their first fixture. First time they come to a training camp, it's all part of it. It's part of the privilege of doing what we do.
Well, part of that system and part of that work process we saw from the Army, Ash Cunningham spoke about it in the preview stuff, is the Army had a mentality change this year where they were trying to play more competitive games in the lead up. Ballaston nearly got in there in the Southern Counties Cup. Some good results, some results they probably weren't quite so proud of. Is there a different edge to the Army that you're seeing maybe from that? I'm not quite sure. Good ball in. But the Army coaches have come in and tried to do something different. Yeah,
they have, and look, that's great, isn't it? Because you have to bring your own, individuality and leadership to it in terms of what you want to try and achieve and how you're going to do that. In terms of Ryan, obviously, being away at the moment, and Ash, obviously supporting but leading at the moment, and Hammy, as I call him, Chris Hamilton, when he took on from Perks, in terms of he'll bring his individuality into it. The Southern Counties Cup, it's a good competition. It gives competitive games, but I think you can find that, and obviously I've seen a lot of the games this year across the three houses, but Hammy and the Air Force have struck a good balance of, I wouldn't say developmental fixtures, and I'll let Hammy tell us how they put that fixture list together, but they have some very, very competitive fixtures going back to I think December or January, whenever it was, the West Bromwich fixture, hugely competitive fixture that they end up winning, which really gives them a good platform to build on. But over to Hammy.
Yeah, I think we've tried to kind of stick with what's worked for us previously, and that's been playing teams like Sporting Calsa, Wolves, West Brom, these kind of teams if you can base out of Cosford. And that's worked for us, so we haven't seen a reason to change. The Army have obviously, they wanted to do something different and change something, which is good to see. And as I said, I think they were more competitive last week. They didn't give up. There was a fair few tackles flying in that maybe wasn't there last year, so it's good. You expect an Army team to have bite about them, and they certainly had that last week, and it looks like they've got that tonight as well. So under Ash and Ryan, it looks like they're moving in the right direction now, which is good to see.
I'm sure Ryan is watching out on deployment. I know he was watching last week. I'm sure he's watching now. So it will be good to have him involved, I'm sure, next year on more of a hands-on basis. On that note, the Navy, I think, have changed it up a little bit as well in their let's say pre-season. More of a focus on cup competitions across the men's and women's teams, actually. That's a good ball in towards Edwards. Flag's gone up. So, look, as the champions at the top of the mountain, the other teams are trying different things to try and shoot you down. That's got to be a major compliment, I'm sure.
Yeah, and every meet we say that the Army and the Navy will improve. They're going to want to get us back for last season or the last 2 years. And as we've seen last week, it was a more competitive fixture. So the next step for them is going one further into it next year. And then I'm sure the Navy will do the same next week against us.
Lee Black put under a bit of pressure. The clearance wasn't the best. Birtwhistle sort of looked to get onto it herself. Edwards did get there. It's dropped. Just didn't fall for Fisher. I thought Edwards might have been offside.
I think the Navy are looking for it, Carl. Yeah, they're looking over to the assistant referee, but not given.
Birtwhistle's shot it was.
But what you can notice is that Demi is playing high, and she's causing them a problem by kind of being on the edge. If she just takes one or two steps, I think she might be in. So maybe that's something Ash will look at half-time, just start a few steps off and then getting behind, because she's definitely causing them a problem, or at least making them play deeper than they would like to.
Well, we thought she might have played a false 9 sort of position. It's more of a traditional 9 at times, but she's getting joy. Army corner, right under the goalkeeper, who's just had it taken off her hands, I think. Fisher, Jones back in there, and it will fall for Edwards. The flag's gone up. Edwards has put it in the back of the net. She's not happy, and actually, from our position, look, we're not in the position the linesman is. I think Edwards might have been onside there.
Yeah, I think that's quite tight. I wouldn't like to be that lino. Yeah, I think that one was tight. Demi will be annoyed, but again, she's gave them a decision to make because she's right on the line. If she can step back 1 or 2 steps and then move, I think that's 1-0.
I think it might have been a Burt whistle or a croucher that was coming back from an offside position that may have confused the linesman. This will fall through for Bavister. Bavister will hit it first time, and Daisy Burnfield was scrambling back. Nearly caught the Army goalkeeper cold there.
Yeah, they're getting in quite a lot of success down the left here with Babs, and it's probably not her natural position, but she's causing them problems behind this right fullback for the Army. I can't see her name, but they're causing her problems in behind her. It might be something that Ash needs to look at, because that seems to be where they're trying to hit all the time.
Yeah, Chantal Dumbell is having a tough time in the first 30 minutes or so here. I mean, Bavister, yes, is traditionally a defender, but she is very much an attacking defender, so I'm sure she'll have no trouble getting forward.
Yeah, they're definitely, that's like say 3 or 4 times now, isn't it? They've got in either straight over or the fullback trying to nick it and miss timing. And likewise with Demi, as Hammy's saying there, just a couple of steps keeping on side. Anna's playing very high. Here we go again.
She's got Barrow in the penalty area. Courtney Jones cuts it out, but it nearly landed in the back of her own net. Great keeping from Burnfield. The Army living on the edge.
Yeah, again, over the fullback's head. I think if I'm Ash, I'm looking to do something at half-time here to kind of deal with that threat, because that's maybe 3 or 4 warnings I've had now, and you wouldn't expect Bavs or Jade to let them off if they continue to get chances.
Well, the Army do have Chrissy Wright on the bench who can play that position for sure. Maybe a positional change might help Dumbell, and maybe going to the centre. Navy corner, headed away well by Jones, and it was a pull on her left shoulder, I think. Yeah, maybe Dumbell needs to be moved into the centre, and Colette could go right back. I think she's played there before.
Yeah, it might be something for them to look at. I don't think they're causing many problems down their left-hand side as such, so Bonnie might be confident that she can sort it out.
Although it's only 30 minutes in, Dumbell might just grow into this. G. Humphreys watching on YouTube. Hello from Canada. And Colette's looked for Fisher there. Fisher swapped wings, by the way. Good win from Edwards in the midfield. Yeah, Fisher swapped wings with Napton, so Napton looking to get more joy on the left-hand side potentially. Barrow was well off, she knew it. Just needs to be a little bit quicker, doesn't it, for the Navy? Hindman there taking one too many touches, too many steps. And over the last 5 minutes, I think the Army will be quite pleased with how they've kept control of the ball and kept control of the momentum so far. But the Navy changed that. Green. Looking wide. Bit loose. You will have heard a big shout for Bavister there to get control of this one. And look, at these points where the Navy, something's not quite clicking, Bavister is a key player to make it try and click.
Yeah, she is, Carl, like, you know, within the group. A huge position, isn't she? A huge leader. She's been there for many years, and she's lived and breathed these nights, you know, too many times without, you know, picking up a trophy for those that know her. But she'll endeavour to try and affect the game and lead the group and motivate them to get back in it.
Here's Fisher then picking up the loose ball and taking it away from Lily Chubb too. Fisher to Edwards, good 1-2. And Burt whistles in the penalty area, but it'll be another corner, and the Army are starting to build a bit of pressure here.
Yeah, and that's came because they've had a little switch of the wingers. They've put Napton over to the left, Imogen down the right, and it's maybe just changing it up for 15 minutes to see how they do on the opposite sides.
We've got people on Facebook watching from Germany, people on YouTube watching from Nottinghamshire. One's slightly different than the other for sure. But the Army are starting to build that pressure. Demi Edwards is really starting to control the tempo of the game as well, it should be said, in that false 9, traditional 9. Bit of both at times. Burt Whistle with the corner then. Right under the keeper again. A little too long, but you can see the strategy on the corners. Look, Lee Black's not the tallest goalkeeper, so you can see the strategy of sticking it straight on top of her.
Yeah, and that's 2 opportunities. I think the last 2 corners they could have got round the back there, but nobody was there to finish, so it's maybe something they'll sort at half time and look to get round the back.
About 35 minutes on the clock, still goalless. Chances for both teams. But who's going to get control of this game before we head to half time? The Navy will look for Barrow, who does well, and Captain.
Switch is on again.
The switch is found to Bavista. And now Bavista taking on Dumbbell. Didn't quite work out towards Captain. The Army clearance isn't the best though, and Barrow couldn't spin. She's still on it though, the Plymouth striker. She's looking for Bavista again, who's got the freedom on this right-hand side. Dumbbell does well, and that will be an Army throw deep in their penalty, deep in their half.
Again, another opportunity for the Navy, wasn't it, with the ball to Bavista, and Jade Barrow's just coming a little bit singled out. Up on her own at the moment, and I think they just need to get T or someone closer to her. Just come a little bit lonely in that 9 position.
Captain trying to find a cross. Burnfield gets there. It's not a total surprise that the Army have singled out Barrow as that threat, and look, Jones is straight on her every time she gets the ball. They're not giving her a moment's peace.
No, and let's pay respect to Courtney Jones, you know, in terms of, again, someone that I mentioned last week. She's playing at the highest level of part-time women's football in the game that she can play, and
it's a smart ball.
Great ball from Anna.
Edwards just strayed again, and her and this linesman are having a battle of their own in this first half.
You know, Courtney she'll enjoy the challenge of marking Jade Barrow and feel she's competent enough to stop her as well, Carl.
Well, she has impressed so far, Courtney Jones. She's kept the Army, well, kept the Navy at bay, kept the Army in a comfortable position, so to speak. It's just this left-hand side for the Navy, the right-hand side for the Army will be worried about.
It's another great opportunity, as going back to Hammy's point, like, it's a great reverse ball from Anna Burt Whistle. That Dem is literally 2 steps, as Hammy's saying, and you're on side and you're in. Like, she's absolutely in there with a lot of space behind the Navy defence. Not
just that, it was a good ball through from Colette as well to break the lines of the midfield as well, which is the first time in the game we've really seen it. Whistle full for Edwards. Green will have the height advantage, but Croucher and his Captain, who's starting to get on the ball for the Navy a little bit more. This will go wide left again to Bavista, who's in behind. The flag has gone up. Now Bavista trying to take a few too many yards. Well, this is the first of a double bill of Navy-Army action, and as if this rivalry between these 2 teams needed any more importance, it is key title challenge matches, so to speak, in both the women's and men's competitions. Tomorrow night we'll be at Fratton Park, live from 7:15 p.m. on the Forces News YouTube channel for the men's fixture, and we'll see Chris James take charge of the Navy for the first time too. Is Captain, and there's a chance now for Abby Hindman to stretch her legs. Burnfield's come a long way and did well, calm and composed from the experienced Army shot stopper. I think Bavista might have taken a little bit of a knock, but she seems to be recovering just off camera. Stewart looks for the cross, cleared by Jones. And that's one for Edwards to get involved with. And she does well, Demi Edwards. Flicks it wide too, and now Napton.
Imogen's got a chance to hit the box.
Dina Green did well, and we've seen a first half where the centre-backs and the tough tackling midfielders are shining, actually. Nadina Green one end, Courtney Jones another. We've said about Burt Whistle and Captain starting to get involved now.
Still, I don't know, this is obviously personal opinion. I still think they're getting a little bit too much success in that area, considering there's a back three in there to deal with Demi and a midfield runner, wing backs as well. You know, it's a lot of success, isn't it, that they're getting in that area of the field at the moment, considering the natural numbers that the Navy have in that area of the field.
Throw from Colette. Jack Anthony points out on Facebook that it's actually Shannon Bradley in the centre of defence for the Army. Couldn't quite see a shirt number from here, but it is Shannon Bradley and Colette on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I think she had a good game against us last week actually as well. They were quite a good pair next to each other, so they've started again well. So they'll be looking to kind of try and get a clean sheet tonight.
Well, a clean sheet would go a long way to getting a result tonight. The Army need more than just a clean sheet. And we are seeing that with a little bit more intensity from them. They need all 3 points tonight. Here's Edwards looking for the back heel towards Burt Whistle. Those two are starting to link up, which is what Ryan McDowell watching and Ash Cunningham down on the sideline will be happy to see. Here's Edwards again, perhaps. Just a little bit too far of a stretch for her. That's a loose pass. Now Captain can look to the right-hand side. Well defended by Gabby Collette. Twice. Really good play from Collette, actually. But then, I'm about to say she gives the ball away. The referee gives a free kick. Lee Jones and his family are watching on YouTube from North Wales, supporting the Navy. No relation to Courtney Jones in the Army backline then.
But again, you can see Courtney trying to switch play there, straight from the back, trying to find one of our wingers. I think she favours playing to the left side, probably because she's right-footed, but she's got the ability to do that, especially if she's given time to make that forward pass.
Ash Cunningham barking orders, telling I think it was Anna Burt Whistle, to just push further forward a little bit here.
It's really good to see Heather Mearns is down there as well with Ashton Art on the sideline. She was away last week, I believe, back in around the group this week. From her experience, not on the pitch playing, I think she's not played recently due to a lot of coaching she does back home, but really good to see her on the sideline. She's got a lot to bring to military football.
Fisher's cross was cut out, and yeah, it is good to see Mearns on that bench. No longer a player, I believe, with the Army at all, I think.
Watching the warm-up as well, it was Heather that took the warm-up, and you could see the tempo she was trying to get. I think she stopped it at one point and demanded more quality in the warm-up, and gave them a bit of a jolt before kick-off, so that was good to see.
Well, as you guys know, with deployments and stuff, when you are missing a coaching member, as they are, the Army with their head coach Ryan McDowell being missing on deployment, you want to see people like Heather, the experienced people with the coaching badges, to step up, and that seems to be what she's doing.
Yeah, she's a good character amongst the group as well.
Lots of support for the Navy on YouTube. Please do get involved. Let us know where you're watching from for this tense, tight inter-services battle. That's one for over Courtney Jones's head, actually. She just put her hands on the back of Barrow's shoulders. She wasn't happy with the decision, but the referee, I think, made the right call there, Red Tar. And he will call Jones over. No reactions are allowed here. Ed Tar laying down the law. Not expecting a booking, admittedly.
Yeah, we've had Ed ref for us in a couple of friendlies this season, and last season he's a good referee, so he'll get a grip of the game, and he'll try and stamp that out quite quickly.
Sarah Hoggy on YouTube says, "Come on, Barrow, get a goal already. Given the family are ex-Army, we're cheering on the Navy."
these are really important moments, as Hammy will tell you. Inter-service football set pieces are massive, aren't they? And Bav's delivery here, really concentrate, stay composed, make the most of this.
Just a minute before half-time as well. This would be, for the Navy, the perfect time to score. A disaster for the Army, you would think. And Bavister's got the quality over the set piece. Scored last year from a corner. Bavister whips it in. Bernfield does very well again. A couple of times Bernfield's been called into action. No super shot stops as such, but she needed to be calm and collected there, and she was again.
I think she proved that last week with some of the saves she pulled up against us. Obviously, Molly Lambert strike from the edge of the box, the one Megan hit. She'd done one close range from Pip as well. So, yeah, she was definitely one of their standout players, and she started well again.
Birtwistle looking to curve her run, and that may have been what Ash Cunningham was talking about a few moments ago. Birtwistle trying to also now stay on the last defender. 1 minute of injury time is what we're going to be given, and once again the flag's gone up against Demi Edwards. It's a fine line, isn't it, when you're on that last shoulder of staying onside, or, as we've seen with Demi a few times in this game already, straying a little too early.
She's on.
Fisher is onside. And she's onside to her left foot. Imogen Fisher didn't catch it. I think, credit to Kelsey Miller there, I think she got a deflection on that.
Yeah, that was better timing of the run coming off the right there. Maybe last week playing as a nines gave her that kind of knowledge of the timings of the run, and obviously Demi's more naturally a midfielder. But there's definitely opportunities here for the Army to play through, and likewise for the Navy. It's been entertaining so far.
Wide for Napton. Now Jones driving from defence, and it brings it to an end to the first half. A difficult first half in a lot of ways for the teams. A couple of half moments here and there. The goalkeepers, the defence will be pleased. It shows how tense this is when you've got title ramifications like these teams have got.
Yeah, I think goalie's on top so far. I think both teams will be pretty happy, and both managers will go in looking to kind of make changes and work on what the threat's going to be second half.
Well, we've got people watching on Facebook and on YouTube from Akrotiri. We've got Chrissy Wright's children staying up to watch, which is always good to see. So hopefully, especially Lou watching from Australia, we'll get a very exciting second half. At the moment it's tense, but it's just going to take one moment to unlock this whole thing and make it explode, I think. We've got some great stuff coming up at half-time for you to get into. Obviously the men's game is coming tomorrow, so we'll get a word from both camps. We've also got highlights from last week's game between Chris's RAF team and the British Army, and we will be back with the second half very, very shortly.
And here's Dixon then, controls the ball well, goes for it, and that is Jamie Lee Bamford, though, went straight really at the goalkeeper, but that just goes to show how dangerous Dixon can be when she gets herself into a shooting position. Still the danger not cleared, and the RAF have it in the back of the net. Well, that was a really well taken goal by Lucy Farrow. All sorts of problems at the back for the Army defence there. They couldn't get the ball cleared, and it was Lucy Farrow who has opened the scoring here for the RAF. Dixon collects it. Army will build again, looking to get themselves back into this game, and Dixon collects the 1-2. She's clear. Is she going to put this ball in the back of the net? But it's great goalkeeping again, brilliant goalkeeping from Jamie Lee Bamford, and Libby Dixon, what a chance that was.
Again, wall into the Air Force, though, isn't it?
It is, and here's a chance for a second for the Air Force. Oh, great goalkeeping again, this time to deny Pippa Wilson, who must have thought, couldn't have believed the opportunity she had there. But again, superb goalkeeping, this time from Daisy Burnfield. Ball goes wide then. Wilson comes in. It's found its way through. Shot coming in. And it's well saved, but the follow-up, it's all sorts of danger across at the moment. Oh, and it's hit the post. And Becky Mason has switched to wing. She's now playing on the right-hand side. Chance though for the Air Force. That's a great save. Well, that was another brilliant effort coming in from, that time from Molly Lambert there on the edge of the penalty area. And a terrific save. But it is a corner to the Air Force. Pushing this pressure on, looking for a second goal. Oh, and it's cleared off a line. My goodness me, that was a it was a great header as well that came in for them. Important challenges to be made here by the Air Force. They've come through this one. Here's a real opportunity now then for Cart. Plays it square. It's a shot, and it's a second goal for the RAF, and it's a second goal for Lucy Farrow. Well, surely that's probably going to be enough to seal this one for the RAF. Fisher, good control. That's a lovely ball through. Opportunity then for the number 7 to put one away, but more great goalkeeping to stop Hannah Napton from pulling one back for the Army. That's 2 great saves that we've seen tonight from Jamie Lee Bamford. Oh, she's got her down. Is the winner.
With the Army, we're blessed. We've got our individuals that sort of give us that extra bit of flair. Well, we're not just tipping up to make the numbers. You know, we're here to win. We're here to compete, and we'll be ready, and we'll roll our sleeves up, and we'll get ready to go to war.
Shoots, sends the keeper the wrong way. Great Army 2 are Royal Navy 0. Oh, and it's a chance for a third for the Army, and he's not going to miss that, is he? Scott McCarthy.
Towards the near post, it's headed on, and he's to the back of the net.
You've been around the scene for a while, so what's it like to test yourselves against the other 2 services?
It's good, to be fair. It's a good team that we've got, obviously playing core throughout the year to come together as players. We've got a few knocks, but yes, it's the best time of year for obviously inter-services football.
You've only got 2 games, 2 finals if you like, so how do you prepare players for what is effectively a very small tournament? You know, outside, you know, you've got FA Cup, you might have a cup run, or in the league, you've got several games to get going. This, you've got to hit the ground running.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? 2 games, you can have all the results and games you like in the build-up and the preparation, but it comes down to, you know, well, it'll come down to Wednesday evening, and you know, who comes out best.
We're here to win it from the first season out. That's the idea of it. I think that's everybody's intent in the playing staff as well as the management staff. Certainly why I've come in to do the job. So obviously against 2 highly competitive, talented opposition, so there's no givens, but certainly we're in it to give it our absolute best crack at winning it, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really good. Obviously a new backroom staff that he's brought in with him, paying attention to the finer details. We spend a lot of time on the intricacies of the game, which is, I think, has brought us on a little bit from last year. We were in a great place last year, didn't deliver. And just these little tweaks that he's made and just looking to things under a microscope will stand us in good stead. Yeah, in terms of preparation, it's been amazing. We haven't had to play that many friendlies we normally would throughout the year, but we've done quite well in the competitions. We're still in one. We've played some high-class opposition, so we've had a real good mixture of opposition, and we've had a good test. We've had a chance to put into practice what we've been doing on the training pitch.
So the Navy haven't won the inter-services since 2016. Is 2024 going to be your year?
We'll see. We've got obviously 2 big games to go ahead. We are confident. The boys are confident, so we will give it our absolute best shot, and hopefully we will be able to get that trophy back to HMS Temeraire, and we'll give it our absolute best shot for sure.
Really big mistake, and the Army take the lead.
And the RAF have it in the back of the net. Ball goes down, and the referee says that is a penalty. Chance though for the Air Force, that's a great save.
Whipped in towards the near post, he's headed on, and into the back of the net. Cross in towards the near post, he's flicked on, it's a chance at the back, and Campbell does get his goal.
It's a shot, and it's a second goal.
Well, that looks a little bit tasty tomorrow night, doesn't it? Hopefully, more first half goals than we've had here. That's men's inter-services football tomorrow at Fratton Park. The Navy hosting the British Army. And again, it's just like tonight, title ramifications all over it. The Army have to win tomorrow. The Navy arguably also have to win in Chris James's first game in charge. So a lot of pressure there. I hope you guys enjoyed those previews. We've got loads on our website with that sort of stuff, previews from today as well. And we're also looking ahead to next week too, where the Inter-Services Football Championships will be completely wrapped up in the Midlands. We're heading to the New Saints Football Club for the women's fixture between the Navy and the RAF hosting, and the men's fixture next week as well. Tomorrow night, it's a big Wednesday. The men's fixture tomorrow night in Shrewsbury. Not just that, if you're not into your football or you're watching for the first time, we got Inter-Services boxing for you too next week. That is tomorrow night, next Wednesday night, 20th, Wild Wednesday of Forces Sport. Inter-Services boxing live as well. We're just trying to figure out exactly which outlets they're going to go on, but keep an eye on our website, forces.net/sport, for all the information. So it's 0-0 here. It's been chances for both sides, but neither side have managed to get the all-important goal, and it feels like a game that maybe just one goal could decide it, which will be actually quite good news, you would think, for the man joining commentary now, RAF head coach Chris Hamilton. I mean, if we're talking goal difference, just a 1-0 win for either side, quite comfy for you next week.
Yeah, I don't mind it being this tight. A 1-0 either way is, as I say, is good for us. But whatever the result is, we'll be up for the game, and we'll try and take the challenge on and see how we can do.
Becky Willix is watching on YouTube. Go Army, get into them, Demi. We're all cheering you on from Bluestone in 10B. Lots of love. Big Tommy, Tallulah and baby Sonny. Wayne Price says a shout out for Ava, Lily, Abby, Jew and Wayne. Melly Buckley's watching on Facebook. Go on the Navy. Love from Abby H's mum in North Wales. A lot of support actually for Abby Hindman tonight, so everybody that she knows is watching, which is good to see. Let us know where you're watching from. Please do get involved, and the players should be coming out shortly. I'm watching the players warming up, and I'm watching the players warming up, and I'm not really seeing any changes, I don't think, Chris.
I feel like I've seen Chrissy Wright getting spoken to there more in depth than the other subs, so I wouldn't be surprised, as was said, to maybe get Chrissy Wright might come on at right back. That was a bit of a problem area. So
yeah,
I seen her getting spoken to, so maybe they're just preparing her if nothing changes to go, or maybe they'll do it at half time. I'm not too sure.
Difficult one, isn't it, for Chantal Dunbar, because she's found it tough, but we do know the quality she has. We've seen it before for the Army against a player like Nat Bavister, maybe not the player she was expecting to line up against tonight as well. So it's a difficult one for her. Do you hook her at half time as a head coach? Would you bring her off?
I mean, one, it depends what you've got to come off the bench, and two, is it something you can sort at half-time by talking to her, or is it something you need to sort yourself and kind of make that change? It's obviously not nice having to hook somebody at half-time, but for the greater cause, it might stop something happening later on in the game. So we're interested to see how Ash deals with it, whether he has a chat or whether he makes a decision at half-time, but they're the tough decisions that you need to make.
Well,
I'm sure he's in comms with Ryan as well.
Of course. It looks like Chantel will be coming out for the second half. No changes, it looks, for the Army. We've got people watching on YouTube. Dylan Brown says, come on, Navy, from your friends in the Marine Nationale. So even the French are enjoying this, which is always good to see. The Navy haven't quite come out just yet, so they're making them wait. Bit of mind games.
Yeah, it's their home game, their prerogative to do that, I suppose. Both managers will be busy at half-time. There's quite a bit to sort there in terms of how they want to play, and great opportunity to go out, and there you go, there's Chrissy coming on.
Well, there we go then. I did see Chantal Dumbbell come out, so she has come out, so maybe there will be a positional change is what I expected. Gabby Collette's there, I see Shannon Bradley. I'll be very surprised if Courtney Jones came off, which she's not, so I wonder if Courtney Jones is going to be moved into midfield perhaps.
Yeah, possibly Courtney's there, so yeah, it's Hannah Napton.
Hannah Napton coming off. That's a interesting decision from the Army boss.
You would probably think there's an injury there, because actually I think she was busier than she was last week. She was getting on the ball, so maybe there's an injury there.
Well, maybe a change of formation as well, and look, we know what Chrissy Wright brings to military football. We saw her live last summer in the Edwards Cup final, and look, someone who has the experience behind her, I'll say, and I'll try and be as nice as I can when I say that, shouldn't have been doing the things that she did in that cup final, a hat-trick to drag the AGC back into it. I mean, she plays at such a high level, so maybe she can drag the Army potentially into a title fight here. They have to win. We know that they have to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see her going to sit right back, and maybe that releases Dumbbell to kind of go into a different area. Maybe let her go forward a bit more, but you'll probably see Chrissy Wright go and try and deal with Bav's threat down the left.
Well, we got Michael watching on YouTube saying, come on, Shannon Bradley, watching from AFC Harrogate, as UCAF manager, UCAF head coach Carl Milgate joins us and works his way through the wires. I'll give you a second. Look, the Navy are back out, as you can see. Doesn't look like any changes for the Navy, just the one, as we mentioned, for the Army. Chrissy Wright coming on for Hannah Napton, and a potential change of formation. Unless you see Chrissy Wright go on the right wing, which we know she can play.
After a hat-trick in the
yep, that's what I just mentioned. Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be confident.
Well, look, this is inter-services football. Anything can happen. We saw that last week in both fixtures, particularly that men's fixture, which I was lucky to be on the call for. Those 2 minutes at the end of the first half were wild. We could be in for a wild second half here. And while both teams have actually been quite controlled in their defensive positioning, defensive stability, maybe they just need to let the handbrake off a little bit in this second half to get a 3 points, which both sides desperately need, really.
I think both teams looked, as they went off, Carl, I think both teams looked frustrated, but in different ways. I think the Army looked frustrated due to they hadn't felt like they'd capitalised on their chances or moments in the game, and the Navy, for me, looked a little bit frustrated that things hadn't gone their way. I think ultimately tonight, I think the Army now can use this to their advantage in terms of the scoreboard pressure, as I call it, in terms of, they don't, they'll see 0-0 tonight as again another step forward. I think a clean sheet. Obviously they want to win, they play to win, but I think they'll see that as a good result. Whereas the Navy, I think as the game goes on, will be thinking, no, we absolutely have to win.
Well, they do. Both sides will feel like they do. I mean, officially the Navy can get away with a draw or a loss and still be in the title fight, because you never know what happens next week down in Oswestry, but the Army do definitely have to win mathematically. But like you say, progress from the Army in 2024 might be the bigger picture.
Yeah. After the game the other night, we were having a beer after the game, and Ash was saying that it's progress for them. It was 4-1 last year, 2-0, they're pretty happy with it. And as you can see, he's made a decision there. He's went with Chrissy right up front. So he's leaving the right back area, and he's gone for maybe Chrissy's experience staying on side, and then Demi's going to play off the left here.
Well, we spoke actually, Chris, didn't we, before the game, before we went live about. I mean, Chrissy Wright's in.
Run perfect there.
Chrissy Wright into the penalty area then, and she's going to take her on. Chrissy Wright onto her right foot.
And there's the difference. If you time your runs, that's a great run, a great through ball, and they'll count it as a big opportunity to miss.
I mean, 2 minutes into Chrissy Wright going up front, that might be the best chance of the game so far.
Yeah, she's rolling back the years there, a bit of pace in behind like that.
I'm having Edwards Cup flashbacks already. Look, we spoke, didn't we, Chris, before we started about actually in the military game in the women's football, number 9s are harder to come by. A lot of great wingers, a lot of great midfielders, and a few top quality number 9s. But the Army without Libby Dixon tonight perhaps lack that. So maybe Chrissy Wright's the answer.
Yeah, I don't mind that though. Go and trying something different. He's seen something in Chrissy Wright's game that can cause a problem, and he's went for it. So whether that's came from Ryan, whether that's Ash, but it's good they went to impact the game from the bench, and straight away there's a chance.
Maybe another chance here as well with Burt Whistle. Good foot in from Green. A bit late from Burt Whistle. Referee plays a good advantage though. Wide for Barrow to chase. Another great sliding tackle from Shannon Bradley.
Yeah, she was impressive last week, Shannon. And again, she started well there. So yeah, that's a good battle in now.
Tara Loft says, go on Chrissy Wright. I'm not going to call Kempy old, but she says, hope the old girl Kempy gets a run out. Friend of the channel, of course, Kempy, so we'll see if she gets on the pitch. Sadie Cox also says we want to see Robin Snee. Robin Snee currently sat on the Navy bench. That'll be a corner for the Navy. Just like the first half, lively start.
I mean, that is a like you say, a brave change, as Chris mentioned there, like from Ash and/or Heather. We didn't call that, did we? We mentioned right wing. We didn't mention number 9. So
and it's interesting because we spoke about the Army coaches doing different things, doing something new in the build-up. I'll be honest, Chrissy Wright is certainly not something new to Army football. So, but it's different. We'll give them that.
But like Chris has just said,
Bavister's corner in. It was Green up there. It's a really good header away from Croucher. Captain can keep it alive to Bavister. The Navy looking to silence any Chrissy Wright chat. Good ball in. There was a few Navy. It's still in there. The Army at 6s and 7s, and it's blasted over. And I want to say that was Grace O'Leary, I think.
Is it number 3 for the Army, Colette, is it? That's a great challenge there, because that should be a goal. She's done really well covering behind there, and gets the danger put to safety.
Just needed to bounce either way. I mean, let's be fair. Yes, it's a great challenge, but you would, if you're Glenn Long, you would hope that O'Leary puts that in the back of there. You would expect it. 2 big chances at the start of the second half already. Sadie Cox says Yeovil Town's women's reserve team are cheering on the Navy and Robin Snee when she does eventually come off the bench, if she does. Jones, solid as a rock at the back. Nikki Fenlon says, come on, the Navy girls watching from Plymouth. Pauline Spencer is also wishing the Navy good luck. And after Chrissy Wright goes very close at one end, perfect response from the Navy actually to put the pressure back on the red shirts. Here's Fisher, bit of a loose touch. And Captain will take a little bit too long actually. It was a good play from Fisher to get back in there. Burt Whistle charges it down, but the Navy might come away with it. Just an important touch from Jones, and Croucher stylish in the midfield. It's ball wide towards Fisher, flag stays down. It's looking for Chrissy Wright. Will put the pressure on, and here's Burt Whistle maybe. Just needed to go left towards Demi Edwards, but she couldn't quite get a vision around it. Support from the Navy women's rugby team in the Facebook chat, which is good to see for the Navy. And there's Chrissy Wright, off she goes again. Sometimes even her legs can't catch that one.
Yeah, but it's a good angle of run, good timing of run again, so there's a bit of a threat there now.
For anyone who's new to this, I promise you Chrissy Wright is not the young 18-year-old starlet that the Army have brought on to change the game, but she has changed the game already.
Well, impacted it straight away, Carl. She impacted it in a different way last week. She made an absolutely huge tackle in the first 30 seconds of being on the pitch and I can't remember who it was against. I think it was maybe Molly Lambert. You know, let them know that she is on the pitch, and her impact this week is a shot on target in the first minute of being on the pitch. It'll give them someone who's, look, she's an intelligent footballer. She's played football for a long time, so she understands the game. So it'll give them a lot of control up there and give Demi a little bit more of an opportunity to make her runs out to win.
Great ball by Edwards into Wright. Chrissy Wright. Terrific save from Lee Black. Great play from Demi Edwards, by the way. Silky football to slip past.
And it'll give Demi Edwards a chance to probably get on the ball and try and create. She just started doing that last week. She had a couple of moments against the Air Force. She started to get on the ball and unlock a little bit. She had a chance around the box. Here goes Jade, though. Jade's off.
Barrow looking towards the back post. Defended well by Dumbell, and Jones is calm and collected in there. And Collette.
Yeah, back to Demi. She had a couple of moments that she started, I wouldn't say unlocking the Air Force defence, but she certainly started to create and affect the game. So that, coming from the left now, that might give her a chance to get on the ball and create rather than try and be the most effective player going through the middle.
Yeah, that's more natural, her game, coming in at the pockets, getting on the ball and trying to make things happen rather than being the kind of number 9, the highest point of the attack. So, yeah, good bit of play, and that's a big chance, big chance.
Well, it's where we've seen her impress for UCAF, but also for her team Loughborough Lightning. It's where she is very clinical in the creative part of the field. So the Army will hope that Demi Edwards can do more of that. Smart start from the Army in the second half. And that will be a free kick to the Navy. Just a bit of a pull from Collette, I think. Needless as well, I'd say.
I think this is when it becomes really important, like Carl said, when not to give cheap fouls away, especially in this sort of area when you've got T or Bavs delivering. It's really important not to give cheap fouls away.
Shelley Derbyshire on Facebook comes in with the pure charisma. Shelley Derbyshire in the house. Big shout out to the troops and girls. Well, thank you for the comment. Captain then over the free kick, and a cheap free kick given away from the Army might just undo some of the good work at the start of the second half. Captain with a right-footed delivery. Towards the back post, it's bounced around in there, and it could go anywhere. And it drops away. I think there was a save in there from Burnfield, but that is scrappy in that Army box. Captain brings it down well as well. Ball in towards the Navy attack. The Army come away with it really well though, and now off goes Chrissy Wright.
1v1 here.
Yeah, 1v1 with Lily Chubb. Spreads it wide for Fisher. Bit of urgency in this second half. It's in towards Chrissy Wright. Green hat to win that. Edwards into Wright again. Can she beat the defender? She beat the defender, but the goalkeeper beat her to the ball.
I hope the children are still up, Carl, because she's entertaining them, isn't she, if they are still up?
Taking the game by the scruff of the neck, it feels like, and actually forcing the Navy to come out at them too. If this was a boxing match, I think they're just starting to come out on the attack, both teams. Open up a little bit. James Sheehan says they'll take a 1-0 win for the Army. That also benefits the RAF. Must be an airman.
Sounds like he's on our side.
But this is now where the game's at, isn't it? The game state. So the Army will potentially be looking at it thinking, we just go for this now. It's 45 minutes and we just go for it. We got nothing to lose. We want to try and win the game, whereas the Navy may get stuck in a mindset of we're not sure, do we stick or twist?
It's an Army team we've seen growing confidence in this inter-services. Not surprising after last year where I think that they'll admit themselves they did not perform to the best of their ability in 2023. 2024 has been much better from the ladies in red. It's a strong tackle from Edwards, a good one once again. Tony Stewart over the throw. Looking for Captain, who's getting involved more for sure. Anthea Captain. Represents the Royal Navy at netball as well, by the way. Or did last year. I'm not quite sure she was involved in last week's inter-services. Edwards looking for the run of Chrissy Wright, and look at the pace. if I can sprint like that.
Oh, what a pass that is.
Good block from Edwards' cross. I think Fisher did stay on side, and she'll get it back. Imogen Fisher now. Does well. Finds a cross into the arms of Lee Black, who's being tested a little bit more in this second half.
Yeah, the game's been a bit stretched now, but the Army have now got a bit of a threat in behind, and yeah.
I'm looking at Nadina Green, who's just a little bit more tired than she was in the first half, let's say. Not quite sure she knows what's hit her. In towards Barrow. Does really well, Barrow, and that's a smart pass. And Bavister might just get there. Burnfield did well off a line early. In the Navy half, just off camera, I think you would see Anna Birtwistle down. And it looks like Anna Birtwistle has a problem, the Army captain. That's a smart turn from O'Leary, though. She's back up on her feet, Birtwistle.
I think she was looking for treatment, but the Navy played on here, so she's had to get up and try and play through it.
Try and soldier through. And this will be, let's say, cleared by Shannon Bradley. And as much as it looked like Birtwistle wanted treatment, she's desperate to try and keep that in, so maybe any pain has disappeared. Dylan Brown says the Navy goalkeeper holding their side in it at the moment. There's been a few chances for the Army, that's for sure. But the Navy have shown their threat too. Edwards missed a header, couldn't quite stretch enough even. And here's Barrow. Finding a cross, and it's flashed across the penalty area. Bavister doing her best to try and get across there. She keeps hold of it. And now Nat Bavister to take on Dumbell. Looking for Captain, who's into the penalty area. Big shout for handball from the stand. I'm not quite sure any of the players appealed, so that says a lot about that decision. And now Chrissy Wright stretching this Navy defence, pulling them left, pulling them right. The pass was a bit loose, but the Army keep hold of it. And Ash Cunningham will be very pleased with how his change, his substitution has impacted this game. Here's Jones. You know, she's got an eye for a pass. She looked for Birtwistle, headed away well by Green, who's impressed actually in that centre-back position. Shania Fenlon taking a little too long with the pass, but the Navy get away with it. It's back to Fenlon. Looking for O'Leary, just trying to break the triangles. The Army break up the possession though. And that's asking a lot of Demi Edwards. It just took a moment to complain about the pass before she started running too.
That's actually a good idea from Anna, but yeah, I don't think Demi Edwards was on the same wavelength there.
I think she was wanting to feet rather than behind that.
Barrow brings it down well, classy control. And she'll sprint away from Alison Croucher. Looking for support is Barrow, and she's found Fenlon into O'Leary. O'Leary will shoot. Excited jump in the air there from Glenn Long on the Navy bench, who hoped that would be more than it was of a threat. It's good save in the end from Burnfield.
Yeah, I feel like the Navy are getting more control in the centre of the park, and the Army are causing a problem in behind. So, as I said, the game's been more stretched.
And that's stretching the defence again for Chrissy Wright. Just a little bit of a shoulder. I mean, Nadina Green wanted a foul there, let's be fair. But I think it was a good decision from the RAF officials. Chrissy Wright, with all her experience, should know they're not quite to let Nadina Green off there.
Just a few warning signs to the Army backline, though, isn't it, as well? They are chasing the game, and a great positive reaction from them. But this is, again, Barrow's third time of getting in the final third now already in this half, and you know they can't just chase the game without sort of shutting the Navy out. They've got to, again, warning signs from last week that you know you can get punished very quickly, can't you, on a counter-attack?
Felt like another cheap set piece given away there, actually. Shannon Bradley completely mistimed her header, and it was good play from Dumbell to get back on Barrow, but all of a sudden the Navy are in a very good attacking position, and Nat Bavister over the corner. 12 months ago in Aldershot, she scored straight from a corner. She goes short here, and that's a poor return, actually, from Abby Hindman. The Navy might have just let them off the hook. Chance maybe towards Bavister, and that's not going to lead to anything. A disappointment there. I mean, as head coaches, I'm sure when you try something short like that and it's given away so cheaply, you're tearing your hair out. Or, well, some of your hair, Chris.
Yeah, not for me. I'll just shout instead.
Pauline Spencer says, come on the Navy ladies, proud that Abby Hindman is her niece. Space in the middle of the park for the Army, who look over the top, and Demi Edwards might just be able to take control of this, but the person who does take control of it is Nadina Green again. And that's a smart pass too to find Barrow, who will run Jones. And slip inside. And the Army have made a mess of it for a second. Complete miscommunication. And they get away with it. I think it was Isabel Crooks who just saved them at the last with the clearance. That could have gone very wrong.
Yeah, and do you know what? The centre-back has went to deal with it and heard a massive scream for keepers, and she's left it, but then the keepers ran past it. So if I'm the centre-back, I wouldn't be happy there.
The Navy might want to pile the pressure on Burnfield here. The cross from Bavister didn't quite cause a problem, but the Navy keep coming with Captain. And now O'Leary, that won't cause the pressure. Just a moment where actually the Army defence that we saw in 2023 just popped their head up a little bit there, and it could have gone very wrong.
Yeah, there was, like Chris said, there was a definite shout from Daisy Burnfield there for keepers, and she came out confidently to collect. A bit of confusion, obviously. Another ball into Chrissy, holding it up well. Interesting, without, both teams are without players tonight, as you've mentioned. Libby's away from last week, and obviously Rosie and Rosie McDonald for the Navy, and Katie Short is down there injured. Kira Borland's obviously left the service. Ellie Bishop's not here tonight, so it's part of service life, isn't it? So, with a big final next week, if it's set up, obviously, I don't know, because obviously I don't ask the question, but Chris and the gang obviously have been, I think, fortunate the last few years. I think in terms of player availability, the Air Force, they've been good, but let's hope for Chris and the Air Force next week that's the same situation, because otherwise it only takes one or two. If you're missing like Rosie McDonald tonight and Ellie Bishop, two players, it makes a big barrier in your game plan that you've worked on for months.
The Army making a change. Chantal Dumbell, her evening's over. Not the strongest evening she's had. And Amy Doyle comes on for the Army. Chris, the RAF have got a very strong squad, and they get the availability, like Carl says.
Yeah, well, we're missing big players this season. Emma Hollingsworth, ACL injury. Obviously, we know what's happening with Rachel Howes at the moment. Missing big players, big personalities. Even next week, missing 2 players because we can't get them out of work. 2 players that got 90 minutes last week. So
I'm sure you don't want to reveal that.
I'm not going to say who they are, but you know what I mean. We're going to have to think on our feet. 2 players that played 90 played really well. So we need to think on our feet, but that's service football, isn't it?
Well, we do have a profile on Cat Beaver going out next week, so please do warn us if we should pull that.
You'll be out with Bees. Bees will be there.
He won't give anything away, Carl.
No.
Tight-lipped here.
Army then trying to bring on the pressure, and that's a ball straight out of the stand. Onto our 3rd match ball of the evening.
But even if you look at the Army, they've got their manager away and their assistant steps up. I'm really lucky myself. We've got some great staff. I couldn't meet two of the meets this year, and Jack Housley Stott, my assistant, he's a top coach, top guy, and he's looked after the squad really well, along with the other staff. So everybody steps up when people aren't available, and I'm sure we'll do that next week as well.
The Navy bench, of course, also has Kim Stenning on the bench. That's a shot from range from Edwards. It was Burt Whistle with a shot. Why not? Yeah, Kim Stenning on the bench for the Navy brings a major amount of experience too. So in terms of coaches, you guys are well stocked for sure.
Yeah, it's good execution that from Anna. It's actually not as far away as first thought, but great execution, and why not? It's worth a go.
John Knighton's watching on Facebook, saying thank you to Chris and Carl for joining us on commentary. If there's Forces Sport out there, John Knighton's got a mic in his hand, or he will be watching it, that's for sure. He'll be at Fratton Park tomorrow to watch the men, to call the action. Edwards now.
She's in on the other side.
Needed to go in behind really for Fisher. Now the Navy, they've got to switch on actually if they could make use of it, but Captain makes the run down the left-hand side. Wants Bavister to get down the wing. Bavister does. Shannon Bradley does well.
T gives the Navy that ability to carry the ball from midfield and drive it, so she's a big threat, and yeah, she's one of their stronger players, and she's got good ability to drive, create chances, and be a threat.
She's one of those players similar to what we've seen with Demi Edwards and we've seen with Birtwistle as well. I suppose as head coaches you can speak to this in just a second. It's Barrow with a left-footed strike, and it will fall. Side netting for Abby Hindman. Angle was always tight, would have been difficult.
But again, that comes from T causing issues, the ball breaks, and then Jade's just decided to have a pot shot there.
Maybe a little bit of frustration in that from Barrow. Hasn't really had an opportunity tonight to get a shot at goal. So that's, I mean, apart from the first half where she got one in. But I was speaking about Demi Edwards and Birtwistle and Captain. That ability on the ball, close control, sometimes can't quite be taught, I guess, right? It just comes naturally to some players. That's a ball in behind Chrissy Wright. Just for a second, thought she might get there. Black does well. Headed on by Birtwistle, and now Edwards challenging with Green and winning the header. Really good play from Demi Edwards. Scrappy and hungry in there. Edwards had Birtwistle making a good run, but Edwards goes alone into the penalty area. Left-footed ball in, big chance for the Army. What a block. What a block by Lily Chubb, keeping the Navy, keeping their clean sheet intact.
That's great defending there. Bodies on the line, protecting that clean sheet.
Army keep coming. Ball in. Bounced around in the penalty area, and Fisher was hunting around in there. The Army wanted a decision. They didn't get it. They've got a man over. They've got a player over. Birtwistle couldn't find Edwards. And the Navy do get it away. Bit more composure on the ball needed from both sides, it feels like there. Fenlon now. Barrow. Now Barrow again. That's looking over the top for Hindman. And Abby Hindman has got Colette for company and beats her. Colette went down. Hindman. Great chance maybe for Barrow. Just bounced away from her, and it's O'Leary from the edge of the box. Well off target in the end. It took a deflection, so it will be a corner. Big chance actually for the Army over here. If they'd have just flicked it one more to Edwards, she was in.
Yeah, I thought Anna was going to flick it on. I think it was maybe Demi on the overlap, but she decided to try and get a shot off.
Melly Buckley's said they're all rooting for the Navy here in Abby Hindman's hometown of Flint. A lot of support for the Navy in the stadium and on our socials, as you'd expect. Home team tonight, and the team that have a corner at the moment. Bavister. This isn't the first Navy corner, it should be said. They've had a few. Captain is going to come short. If they're going to do it short, they need to have a bit more composure than last time. Bavister is going to send this into the penalty area. Towards the near post, headed away really well by Croucher.
That's two great headers by Croucher. She saved one earlier as well.
And Edwards is onto that, nicked away from Tony Stewart, and it's 2v2, chance for the Army here, and it's Chrissy Wright on her right foot, just nicks it away. Can she get there? Good goalkeeping from Lee Black, but just for a moment, if Chrissy Wright's control is slightly better, the Army are in. How many more times can the Navy let Chrissy Wright into that position without being punished? Birtwistle looking for Wright. The Captain turns towards Hindman. Barrow's made that run down the line. Pass came a little too late, actually. Allowed Courtney Jones to get across.
It's really stretched now the last 5 minutes, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, chances for both sides, and it's becoming a bit of an exciting game.
I'd imagine Glenn Long and Ash Cunningham on the bench is just begging and hoping that one of these chances for either side, or for their own side, I'm sure, gets taken. She might get punished the other end. Captain onto it. Jones does well to hold her up. Captain away from Jones, and he's in towards Barrow, into the penalty area. And the striker, who just loves scoring against the Army, couldn't get the control right. Just stuck under her feet.
Just forcing it a bit there from Birtwistle, just I think that was a moment where it is end-to-end transitional, and maybe just a moment to put a foot on it and connect. The attack was still on. It was pretty much a 3-on-3 or 3v4, but just needed to connect a pass and build the attack rather than force it in behind straight away.
Fisher likes the idea of taking on Lily Chubb for pace, but
I don't mind that though. She's just tried her out, you know, test her pace, and she was getting better than the centre backs covered over nicely. So that was good to see.
Good cover from Kelsey Miller, who's impressed on her inter-services debut so far. I think actually all 4 central defenders in particular have done very well, and there's a reason why it's still 0-0 as we head into the final 18 minutes or so.
Courtney Jones, I think had a good game last week, considering, you know, being on the losing team. And look, let's be honest, when you face that front three the Air Force had last week, you know you're in for a bit of a torrid night. But I do think she tried to lead the back line and deal with the Air Force front three. Again, go back to Demi Edwards a few moments ago, where she creates down the left and breaks into the box. Again, that's her game, isn't it? Creativity, getting on the ball.
Well, here's Edwards looking to show us her game. Great tackle again from Nadina Green. Strong in there. That's a beautiful ball through. And this is the chance that Barrow's been waiting for. Jade Barrow around the goalkeeper and gives the Navy the lead. Who else? Who else but Jade Barrow against the Army for the Navy? There was only going to be one goal scorer tonight. She's been waiting for 73 minutes for that opportunity.
Commentator's curse on Demi Edwards, I do apologise. Gives it away in transitions, and a counter-attack for Jade Barrow and the Navy, which has been coming as well in transition.
Absolute credit to Nadina Green, by the way. Great win in the defence, and for a centre-back to pull that defence-splitting pass, very impressive from Nadina Green.
Yeah, and it's one through ball. She plays on the shoulder, and that's the pace that she's got there. Good composure around the goalie and slots it.
Celebrations in the chat for the Navy, who now lead by a 0-0, and now the pressure is on Ash Cunningham and the Army, who, while they will be very pleased with their development in 2024, in terms of a title-winning challenge, they need to change the result here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go for it now, the Army. But doing that, it might leave gaps for Jade to run into, so it'll be interesting last bit of the game.
We saw Jade go around the goalkeeper again there. We saw it last year too, and actually in the interview she did with Craig Tilley last week that we put out yesterday, she spoke about the fact that Kim Stenning on the Navy bench spoke to her last year and said, go round her. You can go round Daisy Burnfield. That's her weakness, or along those lines, and she's done it again, and she's got the reward for it. Now what can the Army do? Wide for Edwards. The Navy one offside, but his flag stays down. And while Chrissy Wright's made an impact for sure, Bert Whistle has been very good on the ball. Feels like Demi Edwards might be the key for the Army to try and get back into this.
Yeah, it's just important for them to, I always talk about it and mention it with our staff, like the moments after a goal, whether you concede or score, it's really important. And this is now really important for the Army, because they'll feel it now on the pitch. They'll feel it after, they'd won it in the service game last week, and now tonight, over halfway through, and a goal down. So it's really important they stay in the game and just try and stick to what they've been doing, because they've been getting success. So don't lose your head, stay in the game, and you've got time to come back, haven't you?
Smart play again from Edwards there, by the way. Couldn't link up with Chrissy Wright. Wide for Fisher. Now, what have the team in red got for us here? Good ball in towards Chrissy Wright. The touch was a little loose. John Knighton on Facebook says, really well taken goal from Jade. Showed great composure, as we expect from a player of her calibre. That's a loose pass. The Army just looking, as you say, to settle down, try and play their football now to try and get them back into the game. That's towards Bert Whistle. Demi Edwards perhaps forcing it a little. It's a late challenge from Bert Whistle. I'm not sure how much of the ball she got. Referee doesn't give the decision there. It's over the top towards Croucher, but the keeper will get there.
Yeah, I think it's important now when the Army are moving forward that they're hitting their number 9. but then the support's maybe lacking. So I think they need to get up and try and support it a bit more. It's a bit isolated up there if they want to go and get a goal back here.
Louise Michelle Lee says on Facebook, Chrissy, as in Chrissy Wright, you told me you were retiring. I wouldn't quite trust that statement if I were you. Referee has actually called for the Navy free kick, and maybe there was an option to play advantage again. Babster ended up putting the ball in the back of the net, but obviously everyone had stopped. It will be, I think, a yellow card actually here for Ali Croucher. Maybe a totting up procedure, I'm not sure. The Army are preparing another change. Friend of the channel, I'm sure we'll hear her from the other side of the pitch. Vet Kemp comes on. Off comes Imogen Fisher, who over the 2 games has shown flashes, has shown potential of what she can do, but not really took control of a game like she can.
Yeah, not the same impact she had last year in the same this fixture, Carl, at Aldershot. Unfortunately for her tonight, they've changed it up as well. Chris has actually strangely gone out to the right now, to be honest, even though they had major success through the middle, and Anna Birtwhistle's moved to a 9 position, but they've got to deal with this.
Not sure if it's just because of the free kick. I'm not sure. We'll see. I mean, maybe Birtwhistle getting a little bit more proactive and a little bit more in the Navy's face. She is the player who's taken the game to the Navy as such. Ellie Bishop celebrating in the Facebook chat. That's my chick up the Navy. I'm sure she's very pleased with the score at the moment. It could get better for the Navy. It's a long strike from Captain. You're just hoping, if you're the Navy, that bounces down. That's what Barrow and Bavister were just hunting down for in there. And Birtwhistle now on this right-hand side. Finding a cross too, but it wasn't of any accuracy, and it will be a goal kick.
Knowing Ellie Bishop, that would have been a very enthusiastic celebration as well, Carl.
Ellie Bishop owns the great honour of scoring the weirdest goal I've ever called, by the way, for your team at Everton last year, where we all thought the ball was being kicked back, and Ellie Bishop scored a very good goal, let's say. Well, Ellie Bishop kicked it back, and it was another player who put it in the back of the net, if I remember, but she was part of it for sure. Yeah. Yes. Now right. Smart from Captain, right on her toes, wins it back, grown into the game, Captain. And that's looking for either Hindman or Barrow. Hindman's onto it. Jones has stayed down, clutching her ankle. The Navy will play on. It's not looking great for Courtney Jones here, and actually the referee will stop this. Maybe just twisted it, actually.
Yeah, there's been a real swing of momentum here, Chris, isn't there, from the start of the second half? The Army seem to have it, but Navy have definitely earned back their momentum at the moment.
Well, the neutral will say a Navy win makes this a straight shootout next week for the championship. From a promotion point of view, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's got the makings of a good game next week now. Navy, if they go on to win this game, then it's all to play for, isn't it? So, yeah, it's been a good game tonight, competitive, and again, we've seen a good finish there. But there's been opportunities throughout the game for both sides.
The Army are far from done here, I will say that. They've had a few opportunities there, and actually, I'd say that the tackle from Green, the ball through, the finish from Barrow was actually the one time we saw that real quality all the way through the move, and it proved decisive so far. A little bit of a worry over Courtney Jones here, receiving treatment. I don't see a substitute warming up, so I think she should be okay to continue. And she's a big player for this Army defence in particular.
Yeah, they're hoping she'll be all right for the rest of the game, because as I said, she was good last week. She's had a solid game today, so they'll be hoping that she can come on and kind of drive them on towards the end here.
Well, this is match day 2 of the inter-services. We saw the RAF get a very impressive victory over the Army last week, I think is the right way to say it. While they were favourites, they battled hard for that victory. The Navy at the moment lead against the Army. Here's Barrow. Slipping away. And back again, Barrow. Can she find a cross? She does. Flicked away, right on the edge of the box. Kemp will clear. Her first involvement in the game, I think, for Yvette Kemp. And there she is playing a pass to Croucher and on to Birtwistle, who was hoping Demi Edwards has got the legs, but a little bit of tiredness creeping in, I think, for Demi Edwards there. Jones being asked to defend. Bit of John Smith about that one, fine. That's a ball wide which Edwards will take control of. And on for Birtwistle, who will keep running. She will run and run and run for sure. Birtwistle taking on Green, who's been impressive. And Green stands tall. It'll be a corner though for the Army.
This is really important, quality of delivery here. Chances like this, they'll need to start taking if they want to get back in this game.
It's just going a little bit quiet in the stand. I think the Navy fans are aware how important this is with just over 7 minutes to go. They'll be desperate to hold on to this victory, to take it to the New Saints next week. Corner then. Right under the keeper again, who's, I want to say flat-tadded, but I think she got a good hand on it actually. And the Navy might be able to counter from this. It's to Barrow. Quickly inside, good play. It was a foul, but the referee will let this continue. Barrow gets up to her feet, but the Navy are on the attack with Tony Stewart, and it's a good ball to where Barrow was arguably supposed to be.
It's a great delivery off the corner there, so they'll be looking to hurt them.
Edwards has got Birtwistle to the left if she can see her. Edwards is going on an amazing run, really good run, and the wrong pass, I think, from Edwards. The Army have a player down, by the way, and I think it's Courtney Jones once again in the middle of the Navy penalty area. I don't think the officials have clocked it yet. There we go. Second time she's gone down in a few minutes. Kira Boylan is watching on Facebook. That's my girls. What a performance, what a group. Bring it home, Navy. Change for the Navy then, and it is Abby Hindman who comes off. Number 16, May 1 comes on. A player I'm not sure I've seen much of, so I'm not sure if this might be a Navy debut in the in-services, but one for Carl Milgate to take a look at, I'm sure.
I think certainly our first inter-service. I think the Army just calling for Courtney Jones here to be replaced as well. I think she's going to struggle to make the last part of this game.
Well, this is the problem, isn't it, for the Army now? Obviously, she has to get treatment, and I understand that, but time's ticking for the Army. Every moment that she's down there receiving treatment, right on the edge of the pitch. The Army, I'm sure, will be preparing a change. Can't quite see who it's going to be yet, because the bench is in the way. Might be a Georgia Brown, maybe a Suzanne Adam. In fact, it will be Georgia Brown. The Army calling on their squad here. Courtney Jones, I mean, the board's up. She's still lying on the floor, so it's not looking great for Courtney Jones. Might be a bit of cramp, I'm not sure.
It looks it from what they're treatment-wise are undergoing at the moment, but she did just take another knock, didn't she, a few moments ago in her own half. She went down injured. Just reflecting on Barrow's finish, if we could show it back, we would, I'm sure, at this point. But it's a very good finish. I thought she might have just taken it a slightly bit too wide, Chris. Two recovering defenders, but she managed to find a space to slide it in. Again, like you were saying in the first half, Chris, in terms of playing on the shoulder, that's her game, you know, fretting behind. And she creates that for herself, doesn't she?
Yeah, she's remained calm there. I thought, like you said, I think she's went a bit wide there, but she's still remained calm, and then she's managed to get the finish off. So, yeah, good goal.
Army then looking to force the initiative, but Barrow now has control of it again. And it stayed in. Barrow. Wide for one, and just out of play. Just trying to get used to the pace of the game, I think, now.
Yeah, the Army will be looking to raise the tempo here towards the end.
Well, they made their changes. Ash Cunningham's thrown everything at it. And a first moment for Georgia Brown off the bench.
Good pressure from Barrow.
And Barrow's lively and confident now after netting against the Army for the third year in a row, by the way. They are sick of the sight of her, I think. Here she is again, Barrow. Cross, couldn't quite wrap her foot around it. And as we head into the final 3.5 minutes or so, the Army find themselves a goal down and close, time-wise, to being eliminated from the title picture. They need something. Well, they need two, actually. That's a really good play from Birtwistle, though. Great turn of pace and forcing her way through there. Goes down and...
Yeah, the centre-back overcommitted with her there, and she spun him behind, so that was clever play there.
Someone who has impressed. Unfortunately, as it stands for her, she'll be on the losing side again, but over the 2 games, she's shown what she can do. She's taken that captain's armband and taken it personally and seriously, by the look of her performances, which is always good to see. She's over the free kick here. A goal here would give the Army life in this title. It's bounced all the way through and somehow it hasn't gone in the back of the net. Saw Croucher in there trying to get on the end of it. Courtney Jones has got a watching brief, by the way, right by the goal. The Army piling on the pressure.
I think the ref's going to be a bit confused if she stays there. They might have to get her to move away from the goal mouth.
I mean, credit to the official, because I was a little confused when she was sat there. So the right call from RAF official Flight Lieutenant Ed Tarr, who's officiated this game pretty well, actually. Birtwistle with the corner. And it bounced off the keeper's arms into the bar. Edwards with a shot. The Navy just got to get it clear. It's hacked clear, and that's a wasteful effort in the end by Isabel Crooks. Not the most convincing goalkeeping from Lee Black, who's admittedly had a pretty decent game up until then.
Yeah, deliveries from corners have been good tonight from both sides, to be fair, and yeah, she managed to deal with that.
Lee Black taken from the Emmy Martinez line of goalkeeping with the kick. Barrow brought it down. It will be a Navy throw. So as it stands, the Navy will go to the title fight next week against the RAF, and it will be winner takes all. There will be a draw will be enough for either team, depending on goal difference, of course. I'm not going to go into the maths because it's going to get complicated. But as it stands, the Army will not be part of that conversation. Deflected off Barrow from the clearance, but the Army bring it forward. Good slide challenge in there. The Army won a free kick. She did get the ball, Anthea Captain. And now Barrow on to Bavister, who might get there first, actually. And Burnfield just did enough. Very similar situation to what we saw in this fixture last year, where Burnfield brought Barrow down in that position. So she did well there. Chrissy Wright.
Oh, she's done well there.
In towards Birtwistle, and the flag's gone up. It was tight.
They'll be a bit harder on here, I think, because of the injuries to Courtney, etc.
3 minutes, says the board. Probably time then. I know you spoke about it last week, that you didn't get the chance, so just a second, because Barrow might be in here. And Barrow's going to quite logically and cleverly head to the corner. And this is where the game's at now for the Army. This is where the frustration may come. It will be a Navy throw. So time then, Carl and Chris, we're going to get two. standout players? I'm not going to call them players of the match. Standout players.
Yeah, for me, I think for the Army, Anna Burtwhistles had a really strong game in there, and for the Navy, I think Jade. She's always a threat, isn't she? So I think they're probably the two standouts.
Barrow pushed to the ground, it looked like, but the referee says, let's get on with it. And now the Navy chance for Bavister to hit. Cole?
I think we always have to recognise, I think people who come on and affect the game, I think for Chrissy Wright to come on and affect the game as she has, certainly did in the first part of the second half, I think has to be recognised. I think it's never easy to come on and affect games, and that's ultimately on the night, if you're not in the starting 11, that's your job, isn't it, to come and affect the game, and she has. I think Demi has had some nice moments in terms of trying to create as well. Anna, like Chris has mentioned. So I think I'd recognise Chris's impact on the game, to be honest, for the Army, and I think Nadine has had a good game at the back for the Navy. Hyman, who went off earlier, I thought had some nice moments as well. A lot of support online, but yeah, Nadina, and I think ultimately you have to recognise her potential match winner, don't you? It's Barrow's player of the match for me.
Well, Nadina Green, a colossus at the back for the Navy, but also creative force, it seems, gets the assist for the goal. The Army trying to throw everything at it. It's kitchen sink time, I think. They haven't got Luke Kearney on there to throw forward, but I'm sure in spirit he's there. And that's going to be one for Chrissy Wright to chase. The Army just look a little bit out of ideas now as we head towards the final few moments.
Yeah, it maybe looks a bit forced at this point, but you don't blame them for that. They're trying to get back in the game late on.
But we talk about development, and I'm sure this is what Ash Cunningham will talk about. This fixture last year, 5-2 for the Navy, a historic night for the Navy, but a pretty woeful one for the Army. Just a 1-0 victory if it stays like this. A lot of positives, I'm sure, for Ryan McDowell watching and Ash Cunningham.
There is, yeah. There is, yeah. It looks like progress. Obviously, scoreline. Well done to the Navy tonight.
Full time, and the Navy do what they have to. Scrappy at times, but the class of Jade Barrow against the Army again provides the winner. And now, I mean, Chris, RAF next week. This, once again, final game, title on the line, and the Navy are going to take the challenge to you.
Yeah, they're going to be right up for it. They'll be really happy to come away with that victory tonight, and yeah, they'll be ecstatic to get the win, and they'll move forward to next week now. So it's going to be a good challenge.
Well, it should be. It should be, and we will be live Wild Wednesday of Forces Sport with the Women's Inter-Services match kicking off, I want to say 2 p.m. We'll have coverage from 1:45 p.m. The men's later in the evening, and live boxing as well that night, because you can never have enough of this Forces Sport. We'll be live with the men's game tomorrow night too. We will hang on, I think, to try and get a word. Kath Fraser is hunting down the jubilant Navy captain, I'm sure, which will be Nat Bavister. But the celebrations are underway. And it's a nice moment as well. I mean, we talk about the overall title, but the Navy to say, look, you're unbeaten in a fair few years now against the Army, that's something they will take great pride in.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I was just about to say, Carl, at your last question was about the Army. Yeah, there is progress, you know, scoreline, and they look better tonight compared to last year and last week even. But ultimately, go back to my days with Michelle Perkins and Macca in the Air Force team. Ultimately, when you're not winning the competition, you have to find a way to win it. That's literally what it is, isn't it? And the Army have to do that now for next year.
Absolutely. I think we have Nat Bavister waiting to talk to us. So, Kath, take it away.
Well, Nat, I'm with the Navy captain, victorious Navy captain. Took a while to get there. There were a lot of attempts on goal from both ends, but very reliable Jade Barrow there at the end for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, that was a close game out there tonight, and that was a battle. At times, I felt like it could have gone either way. We went in at half-time. Not disappointed entirely, because we had created a lot of chances, but nothing counts until the ball goes in the back of the net.
And it's your first foray in. Obviously, you will have seen the Army play the RAF last week. What did you think that you could capitalise on against the Army, and did it come true out here today?
I think today we always want to try and start strong. I think we are a better team for that. We don't ever really like to be chasing the game, who does? But really our game plan was to obviously try and look at the high press or from the start, first 10 minutes especially, just try and narrow the game, put pressure on the ball in the first 10 minutes, try and rattle them a little bit. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And like I said, we were disappointed going at half-time with 0-0 because we felt like we deserved a little bit more.
Yeah, and looking at the prospect of it's a winner takes all next week against the RAF. I doubt you'll change much. You'll just stick with what you've got there, and I suppose it goes in. Momentum's with you at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, we've had really not a great season at all. This has been tough this year. We've had a lot of players injured, a lot of girls deployed. We've been absolutely stretched to the limit, but it just shows the strength in character, really, and personality and belief that we've got in this squad. We had 6 girls making their IS debut tonight in the starting 11. So, I mean, that is really something to shout about. I'm absolutely proud as punches every single person that makes up this squad.
And just finally, what are you going to say to the girls? What have you got planned for this week? It's such a big game next week. Bit of rest time, and a build-up to next Tuesday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as we all know, it's 2 cup finals. You've got to perform on that day. If you don't perform, then that's it. You're out of the competition. So we really needed that win tonight. We'll have a little bit of downtime, but we'll get together tomorrow and have a bit of recovery session. Go away, reflect, look at the game, see what we need to work on to take it to the RAF next week.
Well, congratulations, and we'll see you next Wednesday, not Tuesday. I got that wrong. Thanks very much, Nat.
Thank you.
Well, Nat Bavister there then, I'm sure very, very pleased. We couldn't hear what she said from our position in the stand, but I'm sure she's very, very pleased with the result, as she should be. A very good performance again from Nat, in a different position as well, showing she can do all of the trades, it seems. So we're going to have a trophy lift here. Every fixture has a trophy now, which is great to add the importance to each fixture as well. But first, shout out to the officials, I think, who should, there we go, getting their medals. Flight Lieutenant Ed Tarr, good performance from there, I thought.
Yeah, he'll be happy with performance there. Pretty steady. I mean, no major decisions to make, but the ones that he did make, I feel that he got them right tonight. Yeah, strong performance.
His assistants, Steph Clarkson Kearsley and Eleanor Webb, and a fourth official, Steve Hearn, as well.
Our next award this evening is to the Navy Player of the Match tonight, being presented by Tony Tyne, Business Director.
The Navy will have a Player of the Match award, so they're allowed to have a Player of the Match, you see.
Tonight's award has been chosen by our Football of Fame inductees, Anne McCaffrey and Michelle Pascoe. And our player of the match is the Royal Navy's number 9, Jane Widow.
Match winner, goal scorer, player of the match. Not a huge surprise. And a little bit of silverware right next to is what Nat Bavister will have her hands on very, very shortly. Will it be the only silverware she gets? I'm sure Chris will say yes, but who knows? We'll go into next week and the Inter-Services Trophy will be on the line at the New Saints. But the Navy have beaten the Army again. For another year, the Navy are just starting to go on a run now.
They will, yeah. But, she'll take great pleasure in that trophy lift, Babs, in terms of what she's done in her career, and she cherishes every moment she's on the pitch. I know that for a fact.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Carl. Thank you, Chris, both for joining me. We'll see you both next week, I'm sure. And, well, all that's left to say is the Navy have done what they need to make it a title fight. Navy versus RAF next week is not one to be missed. Also not to be missed tomorrow. Fratton Park, the men's fixture. Who knows what could happen? Inter-Services football is wild and crazy and unpredictable, so do not miss it. 7:15 p.m, Forces News YouTube channel. The Navy celebrate tonight. Will they celebrate tomorrow? We'll see you at Fratton Park.
Really big mistake, and the Army take the lead. And the RAF have it in the back of the net. Ball goes down, and the referee says that is a penalty. Chance though for the Air Force, that's a great save.
Whipped in. Towards the near post, he's headed on, and he's to the back of the net. Cross in towards the near post, it's flicked on, it's a chance at the back, and Campbell does get his goal.
It's a shot and it's a second goal.